welcome to the Mom Room.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So the first question I often ask moms who come on the podcast is what your transition into motherhood was like. Was there anything that was unexpected? Were you prepared for postpartum? Were you like, what the fuck is going on? What was it like for you?
So I have two little girls, and my first daughter is 2.5. So I had her during COVID. And so that was an experience in itself. But I think everyone says, nothing can prepare you for kind of motherhood, because I honestly, none of my best friends had kids, and none of my super close friends had kids, and I was witness to like all of the hardships to really see what it was like. Everyone's just like, oh, you bring a baby home from the hospital. And it's like, I have one friend who's a doctor who sent me a bunch of like disposable diapers and like all of the
Love her.
Love her. All of like the, cold packs and like nipple creams and she was like, listen, I don't think anyone's had like the real conversation with you of like what it's going to be like for recovery, but I'm here. I'm sending you this care package now. And I don't remember all the other onesies and stuff I got. It's like, I remember that. And I so appreciated just, like someone being really real about it, because it's like, it gets cuter as you heal and everything's, you get used to everything, but it was just so intense. So my first pregnancy was really easy. And so I liked being pregnant, but then actually I had an ovarian cyst right after I gave birth, and it was benign, but they couldn't operate on it until 6 weeks postpartum. So like my recovery was I'm in such a better situation now with my second kid than I was with my first, because I had a great pregnancy. I was expecting and the delivery was pretty easy. I only pushed for 45 minutes. I was induced.
Same.
No one told me about how that would go, because like they had to put the balloon in it, they had to pop my water, again, things that like no one really sat me down to super explain. So you're just kind of on this adventure of delivery. Thankfully the baby was healthy and I was only pushing for 45 minutes, but then I think just the recovery was so intense.
How did you discover the ovarian cyst?
So I had my first daughter, Skylar, come home from the hospital. I had a friend who had a kid like 6 weeks earlier than I was. And she just looked like she was almost back in shape, and I still looked pregnant. Like I just still had this, I just still had volume in my stomach. And my husband was like, Loren, something doesn't like look right. And I was like, I don't feel right. Again, this is my first pregnancy, my first baby. So like, I don't know what to expect, but everyone was like, after 2 weeks, you should be able to sit easily and I was like, I don't feel good.
Like a pressure?
It was a pressure. And like, I think there was so much, there was 3 liters of fluid in this cyst. So I didn't realize all of that weight was, pushing down. Like I couldn't heal. Like it just took longer to heal, I think. So I just felt so bruised and uncomfortable. And so I went back to my OB and she was like, oh, it's probably nothing.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. And she was like, wait a minute, it looks like you're like holding, your bladder looks really full. And I was like, I just went to the bathroom. She's like, sometimes like the bladder just, has a hard time kind of getting back into shape. Like I'm sending you to your urologist. Urologist puts a catheter in. Like he's like, oh, nothing's come out. And I'm like, Jesus, this is like so intense. I'm still healing. And then he's like, actually, I see a cyst, but it's like all fluid. Don't be worried about it. Like, let's send you to a specialist. So again, it was kind of crazy. So then they sent me, thankfully, to an amazing doctor who was like, I can't operate on you till 6 weeks postpartum. So you have to wait another 3 weeks, walking around with like 3 liters of fluid. And, and being a new mom and just like trying to breastfeed and like just my body, I think was going through so much stress. You're just watching milk come in and trying to make sure your baby's happy and trying to sleep. And, it's just so much. So then I recovered from that. So all that to say is that my first pregnancy was super intense, like just the recovery of it. And I think learning all those things for the first time and it being COVID and just caring so much about like health and what would happen if a baby got COVID. I mean, it was just at the very beginning before we knew anything. So all of that just it was stressful, but then I feel like after 6 months, I feel like, okay, we got like the hang of it, and she started smiling and laughing and like, we, not just me, but me and my husband, I think both felt like a much deeper connection to her, and I was fully recovered and like finally getting back into shape and mentally, you know, getting stronger, and I stopped breastfeeding. I think that really helped me because I think,
Talk about that because that's a
my
big
God.
I think I breastfed for 2 weeks, and I was so anxious, and he was having diarrhea, and it was a whole
Mm.
thing, and people that are listening are like, "We know, Renee, you've told this story before."
Yeah.
But it was such a a difficult decision for me to be like, "I'm gonna switch to formula." Ended up being the absolute best thing we could have done for
Totally.
multiple reasons. But I felt I specifically remember the time my husband, Milo, was crying. He was having diarrhea. I was so worried he wasn't getting the proper nutrients. And my husband was like, "We're going to just give him formula."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Like, let it go.
I needed someone to say that to me because I wouldn't have made that decision by myself. And I was like, thank God for my husband. Did you have a hard time with that decision?
Absolutely. So I'm in like the natural food industry. All I care about is like
Mm,
clean, unprocessed, real ingredients because I think that's what your body, it's the best. It's the best tasting. It's better for you. And I love that connection with the baby. But I also have a funny story. Like, when my husband too is like very into health, and he was like, Lauren, like we should breastfeed for as long as possible. And I was like, yeah. So in my head, I was like, of course, I'll breastfeed for like a year. That sounds
mhm.
great. But I had no idea how stressful it would be and just taxing on the body. And then there's also this thing, I have my own business. So like I was going back to work and we had a nanny, and I didn't want to be the one just responsible
Yeah.
to always feed the baby
It's like
too.
every 3 hours.
It's like, hello, can anyone else help? And then just trying to go for like a walk, like, and all of a sudden getting a call 10 minutes later, she's starving, come back. And you're like, oh my God, I have no life. So I think that like, I switched to pumping to like
Same.
to be like, okay, I'm gonna pump as much as possible and I'll feed the baby a little bit. And that way, like everyone else can feed the baby and it's not all on me. That was like my first step. And then I think like I really started to realize like how miserable I kind of was and how exhausted my body was. So my first daughter, 4.5 months, I breastfed. We started sleep training at 10 weeks and we started giving her some formula at night. And just so it was kind of a mixture after that. But yes, I felt incredibly guilty. And I felt like, why can't my body just like produce like this unbelievable milk easily? Like some people just like have an easy time with it and they breastfeed wherever, whenever. And it's like beautiful. I didn't realize like you could have like a slow letdown and like, like for me, I had a slow letdown. So like my baby, it just like she loved being on the boob, but like it just took so long for her to get
Mm.
milk. And so then
Milo was like 45 minutes on
that's what
each side.
that's what
I'm
I
like,
exactly.
"What is my life?"
What is my life? That's what happened to me. I was like, there gets to be a point where like this isn't cute anymore. Like
Yeah.
I'm exhausted and like it's not good for either of us. So the funny story is, so my husband is like, you know what? Let me call my mom. Let me figure out like I don't know how long I was breastfed for. Calls his mom. She's like, honey, I never breastfed you.
Uh-huh.
His
Same.
mind was
I was never breastfed.
his mind was blown. And
Yeah.
I think that's when he was like, oh, wait a minute. Like I'm totally fine and
You can
healthy.
survive and be a functioning adult
Yeah,
when
like
you're on formula, yeah.
and really and like it's true. It's really important because like it's all on you as the mom to like you're the one who could breastfeed. Do you want it? How bad do you want it? You want to be a great mom. You want your kid to have like this healthy gut and get the best nutrients and all that. And at the end of the day, it was just like he was like, Lauren, whatever makes you happy,
Mhm.
And like we just want the baby to be fed and happy and healthy. And a million people are on formula and it's totally fine. And so I think I was like, and also we had a sleep coaching like you know, consultant we hired. And what she said to me just helped me. She was like, congratulations. Like you have already given the baby, this was at like, 10 weeks. She's like, this first 6 weeks are the most important. Like it helps with gut lining. You've already done that. Like anything else is gravy. And just congratulations. Cause like no one like really just stops to say like, thank you for dedicating like
And this
basically
stuff is
your
hard.
entire life,
Uh-huh.
for the last 2 years or whatever, to having this baby and taking care of it. And so, yeah. And then once you start, even with our baby now, we have a 3-month-old named Ray, and I'm still breastfeeding but I'm going to stop over the next month because I actually have a trip scheduled. So I'm like, I'm not going on a trip and pumping
With
and
a
then
freezer
with
bag
a
and
freezer
the
and it's
yeah.
international. And I'm like, I'm not even going to be able to bring the milk back. I'm like, no, like that's a great cutoff for Lauren to get like her life back and her body back. And so I think that like, depending on your circumstances, like I think you really like moms just don't need to be so hard on themselves. Like I think the second it's like not a great experience and it's stressing you out, like let it go. Like
Mhm.
this is just it's too precious of a time because when I look back on Skylar, I think I pushed it probably a month too much. Where like I really wasn't that happy that month, you
The thing
know?
I always think about too is like, this is your one, like, we're not going to get the opportunity to be a mom of these tiny little humans again. So, do you want to spend that being miserable and exhausted? And, people don't think about the
Exactly.
mom's well being as being important.
It's the most important thing. Exactly. Like if I think back to having Skylar, if I stopped a month earlier and there had no attachment to like switching to formula, like I I would have had so much more free time, so much more joy with her, so much less stress on my body, so much better, mental space to just like be loving and like
Hmm.
enjoy the experience. And so I think the second I stopped breastfeeding and we went like at 4.5 months, I was like, by 6 months I just was in love with like being a mom
Hmm.
because like my body was healing, it was getting stronger, I wasn't dealing with any of the breastfeeding, and like you could just focus on like feeling like you're getting your life back,
Yeah.
and being a happy mom. I mean, it makes all the difference.
So, one of the things we said we were going to talk about today was filling your cup as a mom, which I love this topic. Was that something that you felt you did right from the beginning, or was it something that you had to learn to do as your kids got older? Like, what did that look like for you?
I think what's interesting is, so I have my own business, so I'm used to being a CEO, even though I still like get my hands dirty in the business every day. You have a team, you are supported. If you need something, I can tell the president of my company, hey, can you handle this? When you become a mom, you become the caretaker. Like
Hmm.
you're not, yes, you're the one in charge, but you're really, when a baby is young, like just cleaning up, keeping a schedule, making sure everyone's happy. Like it's just a reverse role where like, you don't have help. Like you are the one doing everything. And it's kind of thankless, right? Because,
Yeah,
no one,
it's the opposite of,
it's just
yeah.
assumed. It's like, yeah, you decide to have a baby, now take care of it. And you're like, okay, but like I have no time to take care of myself. So I think that it was such a big like learning for me to really like sit in that mother seat. And I think with Skylar, it was the first time I was like, let me just try this out and see how hard it is and where I need help. And my husband is a really great partner. Like he definitely wanted to be a dad. He's very hands-on, but I still feel like moms always have to do more. And just
Hmm.
there's more like intuition. So with our first kid, I think, we just tested it out. Like, okay, where are the spots that are like hard? And I think that like, I had trouble like hearing her cry. So when we were dealing with like sleep training and things like that, I was like, Greg, you need to handle sleep training.
Yeah.
Like,
This is like an
like
evolutionary thing, right?
we're
Like
splitting
mom's
things up.
cortisol
Yes.
rises much more. My husband is unaffected
My
by my
husband is
child crying.
thank you, unaffected. He's like, "Lauren, of course she's gonna cry. There's nothing else she can do." And I'm like, my heart and like
Yeah. The
brain and
world
like,
is ending.
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So I was like, "You handle that. I've done everything else, right?" And so I think just starting to realize like where are the things that like how can I separate things so that he can be doing his fair share and it's not all on me? And then in filling my cup, like I think again, it's so different for everyone, but it's the most important thing. I am so passionate about like you feeling your best because at the end of the day, like what moms mostly just want to do is like give to their family and make sure everyone is happy and healthy. And so like if you fill up mom's cup, like she's gonna be in a great mood and like be able to do all of these amazing things for the family and friends and everything like that. But if her cup isn't full, like, it becomes miserable,
Yeah.
So I just think like we need to be selfish about filling up our cup, whatever that is for you. And like for me, it's like I need to work out. I need like an hour alone a day. I need to be able to have like some fun dinners with friends. I need to have like a trip on the books planned in the future. Um, I need to be working. Like I love my business. I love feeling like I have something growing that's exciting outside of home.
Outside of the home.
Exactly.
That's what I always say. Like, have a life outside of family life, and that's
Otherwise,
okay.
yes, you're living otherwise I feel like if you get all of your joy from other people, like, then I think sometimes you can have weird expectations of them or you're just like living vicariously through other people versus like, knowing that you are a human with like you're multifaceted, you can be a mom and other things. And my mom was a entrepreneur and very busy, like, she was running her own company. But as a little kid, I remember just being it impressed with that. Like it really helped inspire me, and I was proud of her. And so I just think like we also don't need to be feel guilty as
Mm,
moms to like have, interests and responsibilities outside of the home because actually that could be like as long as when you come home, you're committed and loving and, you are a mom when you're home. Like I think like there are amazing inspiration and role models that you can, build by having a great life outside the home. So filling your cup, so passionate about it. Whatever that is for you, just like look within what fills your cup, what makes you happy, what makes you feel your best. Like this morning, I got to sleep in. My husband like took care of the kids. Like just that. Like I came down, I have so much energy. I feel great. Like I have so much to give because like, I'm not depleted.
yeah, being depleted. And I often think sometimes people become or you become a mom and it's this like go, 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 go. And never do people sit and actually think about what makes me happy? Like what did I used to do before becoming a mom that filled my cup that now I'm not able to do? There's so many moms that message me that are like, I used to paint all the time. I used
Hmm.
to, whatever it may be, ride horses. You had all these interests. And then because we're the ones giving birth and then being in recovery in Canada, like we take a long maternity leave. Um, it's easy for you to lose that part of yourself, whereas your partner is just like moving on with their life. Like,
Totally. Like
yeah,
back to work 2 weeks later.
yeah.
Yeah, and listen, I think there are some moms that do love that and like, they want to be home with their kids and like I definitely have friends that had like high-powered jobs and they had kids and they were like, I just kind of I don't want to go back to work. Like that kind of work. I want to stay home. I want to raise my kids. And they're totally happy and that's awesome. But I know myself and like I love the confidence and intellectual stimulation and challenge and knowing and interests. Like I just
Mhm.
have more interests than just my kids or my family. And again, I think it's like it's really healthy also for kids to be exposed to different people. Like I love that my kid also has a nanny and like, is learning Spanish and just being exposed to different people because it's I find it is too much stress especially Skylar, our 2.5-year-old, like she just had such stranger danger. She wasn't exposed. She was exposed to, it was COVID too, but she was exposed to our nanny, but like not enough people,
Mhm.
And I just feel like sometimes it can shelter, a kid if they're like only in a small circle
I
too.
used to get the comment like, "Why did you have a kid if you're just gonna send him off to daycare?" And I was like, "You know what? Like the fact that he is building these really special relationships with his teachers at school, like that's amazing to me."
Oh my God. I didn't know anything about daycare, nanny, or whatever. And it was COVID. So I was happy that we just had someone we trusted coming into our home every day.
Mhm.
But I look at our second kid maybe differently. Like I'm like, maybe we should send her to daycare like sooner. I don't know what we'll do, but I just know that like Skylar now, she at the end of this month, she's gonna go to preschool. And I cannot wait. It's a full day. It's like
It's the
9 to 5.
best. You
I
just wait. It is the best, and they turn into
a
like,
little a
they
person.
develop like, whew.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like she's so bored of like the park and being home and like the little classes we put her in that are only like an hour.
Mhm.
So I know she's going to thrive. Like she's social. She wants to be around kids. She wants to have like new experiences every day. And so I can't believe like I don't want to keep her in the house. Like I
I
get
know.
her out as soon as possible. So she's totally ready now. And maybe we'll send Ray like sooner, if she seems ready too. So plus, like, people have to work, or
Mhm.
whether they have to financially or they want to. What are you gonna do? Like, a kid I think it's so important for kids to as long as they're in a safe, stimulating environment, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay, I'm gonna switch gears. I was reading your bio on the website, and it mentioned that you had cancer in your early 20s and that this was a little bit of a catalyst for you starting your business, Sweet Loren's, which we're gonna get into. But I wanted to hear that part of your story and how that inspired you to start this business.
Absolutely. So it's Sweet Loren's.
Sweet Loren's.
Sorry, Sweet Loren,
Loren's. Did I say Loren's?
Loren. Everyone some people
This is
say
like
Sophia Loren. I think she
I
just
come from
created that
Canada
don't
though,
worry.
so I say things funny.
Don't worry, it's Sweet
Sweet
Loren's.
Loren's.
I love it. So yes, it's definitely the catalyst why I started the company. So I grew up in New York. I went to school, college in California at USC, and then right after I graduated, a couple months after, I felt like the lymph nodes in my neck got really swollen. Went to the doctor. The last thing you would ever expect when you're 22 years old. He was like, you either have nothing at all or Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I didn't even Google Hodgkin's because I just like couldn't even fathom having cancer. But they had to do a biopsy. They found out it was cancer. I had to go through 6 months of chemo. And thankfully I was cured, but it just changed my life. I felt like someone in their 60s or something, even though I was 22. I just wasn't like mindless. Like, let's just go out and drink and party and like date. And I was more serious, and I really appreciated health above everything and life. And I just was like, I got to figure out how I turn this crazy negative like nightmare that it felt like I went through into like the best, most positive thing. And so that was just my mindset. Like I was like, I have to find a way because I don't want to feel bruised or like scarred for the rest of my life. Like I want to feel like we all get dealt certain hands, but like, how do I make this into like my best life ever? And so I started to take cooking classes and study nutrition because I was like, food to me was just the
Mm,
most important thing. And my doctor did not talk about nutrition,
of
and we're not
course.
taught nutrition, right?
Mhm.
And this was also 15 years ago. It's like it the natural food industry is
It
just
wasn't
not
as big as it is now.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was like so niche and like hippie, then. And so I really felt like I had to be my own doctor. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out what foods work for me. I think food is the most food just it starts with food for me because like that's our energy. Like how do we get energy? And I just started to feel so sensitive when I was going through treatment that like when I ate packaged processed foods, I did not feel good. I did not have high energy. I was not thinking positively. So I was like, I don't want this is crap. Like I don't want any of that in my body. So I started to study nutrition and just study more natural oils. There are different types of flours out there, different types of salts, sugars. Like, what are the best kind for you? How do you get the cleanest version? And then I started to take cooking classes because I was like, if food doesn't taste good, no one's going to eat it. So how do
Mhm.
I start making these healthy ingredients taste great so that I can be a great like home cook for the rest of my life? So I became good at cooking, salads, grains, proteins, but I have a huge sweet tooth. And I was like, there is nothing like besides like dark chocolate and like almonds or like dates that like I could eat on the market. And that's what like really inspired me. I was like, I have to find a way to make a delicious warm chocolate chip cookie, but like as wholesome, as unprocessed, as clean as possible. And it just wasn't being done. And so I just jumped into like natural ingredients and just played around with a million recipes. And then when I saw the reaction of friends and family eating it, like I knew they weren't just trying to be nice, like they like genuinely were like, can I buy some from you? Like, this is amazing. Of course I would feed this to my kids over what's on the shelf.
Mm.
And like, of course I don't want processed foods. It's just, that's what's convenient. And I got really obsessed with like the packaged food industry because I was like, people are going to buy what's convenient. Moms are busy and it's very hard to make all this stuff from scratch. It's hard to come up with these recipes. It's exhausting to clean up your kitchen. And also no one wants like 25 cookies sitting around every time you bake.
Yes.
So like it just all inspired me to create this Sweet Loren's, which we're now the number one natural cookie dough brand, and package it with like 12 portions inside the package. So when you open it up, you could make one or two, even in your toaster oven. And that way you don't have to like have a million cookies sitting around all the time. And that way you don't
That's
have to clean
genius.
up anything. And so over time, I made the recipe gluten free, dairy free, nut free, plant based. Everything's non GMO, everything's whole grain. It's just like as like the highest quality chocolate, like just as delicious but unprocessed as possible so that really everyone can eat it, you know?
So you can just pull it out of the freezer, take like
So it's sold
2
refrigerated. So
refrigerated.
it's sold refrigerated. You can keep it frozen, but it's sold in the refrigerated cookie dough section, like right next to like, the conventional cookie dough that's on the shelf. And yeah, you just open up the package. There's like 12 portions in there, and it's safe to eat raw as well. So if you just want to like grab one or two portions to eat raw, go for it. If you want to throw it onto a cookie sheet or like even air fry it, it's like in less than 10 minutes, you have like a gooey warm cookie, and then you can just throw the rest back in the fridge. You can put it in your freezer too. It's just ultimate convenience. And a lot of moms, a lot of breastfeeding moms, because we're like soy free, dairy free, egg free, there's a lot of moms that like I've been like, you've gotten me through breastfeeding, you've gotten me through pregnancy,
Mm,
you've gotten me through, because it's like a great pick me up snack, when you need
yeah.
that, like just something delicious and like safe.
Before we started recording, you blew my mind because I was like, there's no way this is in Canada. And you said that it is in Canada. So half my listeners are in
Yay!
Canada.
Okay, this is good because like we really haven't reached a lot of like I don't think being on like a Canadian podcast or something. So
Yeah.
we're sold refrigerated in the refrigerated cookie dough section of all Loblaws and Whole Foods. And request us at your local grocery store as well if we're not there yet, because we definitely want to be in as many stores as possible in Canada. We've obviously focused on the US first, but we've been in Loblaws for over 3 years.
Like, this blows my mind. And so it's in the like, is it where the ice cream would be?
No, it's
Or
refrigerated. So
oh my God, I can't get that
I
through
know, I
my
know, I know.
head.
It's
Okay.
sold refrigerated. So it's like probably there is like a cookie dough section in all Loblaws that's sold refrigerated, not frozen. And, it has like the Loblaws like private label brand cookie dough in there.
Okay.
And I think it has, I don't know, a couple things, but it's probably near like your eggs or your butter, like
When I get
whatever
home,
baking
I
section.
am on a mission and I'll probably videotape my mission
Please do
to go
this.
find it
I
and
want
then make them at home.
I want real deal
Yeah.
footage, real honest feedback. But
Like,
yes, yeah, and our packaging is bilingual. Like I love that. It's really
that must have
cool.
been a bitch to deal with,
It's
though.
a bitch because our packaging is so busy. And then I had to do everything in French and English. I'm like, how the hell are we going to fit all this in?
Yeah.
But somehow it like works. It
Yeah.
works. So yeah. And what's interesting about Canada is that in the US, there's a bunch of like natural brands. They're much smaller than us, but there
Mhm.
are some other natural brands kind of in our section. In Canada, it's literally there's no one. It's like private label,
Never
like
heard of it before. Like, I've
Pillsbury,
never
and then
heard
like
of this
Sweet
option.
Loren's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's pretty cool that we're the brand that's like woman owned, all natural, that's broken into like mass supermarkets throughout all North America now.
Okay, I love this. I'm very
You have to go,
excited.
you have to tell me
I was
for
like, "There's
sure.
no way. Can I bring it home?" Like,
Yeah.
I cannot believe it's in
I
Canada.
know. I brought you some cookie dough and I was like, I don't even know if she can whatever, but you
Yeah.
can try it.
We'll bring it back to the hotel, don't
Yeah.
worry. It will be consumed.
Okay, good.
Okay, so to finish, I listed off some quick questions for you. I thought they would be fun to go over. Well, this one's not as fun, but mom guilt. Do you ever experience this? And if you do, what is it usually about?
It's so silly, but like sometimes when I know I want to work out, like I know I want my 1 hour away from everyone where like I get to sweat it out and get endorphins. But like my husband's like playing with our daughter or something, they're like having fun. I
You feel like you have to be there.
I feel bad that I'm missing out on those like fun memories. I feel like and granted, like 2 seconds before I went to work out, I'm exhausted. I've been with like hanging out with the kid for a while. Like I'm like ready for a break. But like second I'm gone, it's like I'm like, wait, well, I want to be there. Like you guys are like having fun and I want to be there for you. Um there's that. There's also, times that I'm like on a call or like trying to write an email and my daughter wants to play and, the work from home thing, especially with like a new baby. Like I have an office that's kind of like, I call it like my tree house. It's like above the garage. It's away, but I'm not really in there right now because, I'm constantly feeding a baby or pumping or whatever. And so my 2.5-year-old, when she comes home, because she's not in preschool yet, she sees me, she wants to play. And then, just trying to explain to her
They don't
how she
understand. My
can't
son's
get
almost
that yet.
5 and he doesn't get it.
Okay.
But it's the
Wow. Even at
I
5 years
cannot be
old.
productive and like fully mindful in what I'm doing unless I am completely removed
Mhm.
from where my son is.
Mhm.
But then it's like a blessing, but it's also a curse because now with technology you can get work done quickly while you're with your child, but then you feel guilty because you're on your phone like writing an email or doing something and they're like,
What are you doing?
and now I'm like, okay, fuck. Like, what's worse, me completely leaving and getting work done or like trying to do both? It's like this balance.
Totally. And then I feel the hard part is this young age, where like they don't fully understand. So even though you try to explain, like, okay, mommy's working, or just give me a second, or no, you can't type on the computer right now, or I can't show you a video of animals or whatever she's
Mm,
asking. It's like, it's just hard because I don't want to raise my voice. I don't want to get upset. Like that doesn't help a 2.5-year-old who is just trying to understand the world, you know?
yeah.
So
And it's
just that
easier because my husband, it's like daddy's going to work. He physically goes to work.
leaves.
He understands that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, where's daddy? He's at work.
Right.
Whereas like me, I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get work done.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not. You're fucking playing on your phone,
Right,
bitch. Like,
exactly. You're scrolling Instagram. I know
yeah,
you.
yeah. I know.
Yeah. No, I hear that. So yeah, I think there is guilt in just that, like, I don't know how to be a perfect mom. Like, I like, even,
Nobody is. Nobody
and of
does.
course no
Yeah.
one is, but like, you're like, it's interesting because obviously as kids get older, things change. But our daughter right now, the 2.5-year-old, like, she'll freak out. Like, we were at our cousin's house and she saw their toothbrushes and wanted to brush her teeth with their toothbrush. Okay. So I say to her, of course, Skylar, it's not your toothbrush. Can't do that. Like, come, let's take a shower. We just like went for a swim. Freak out, full on meltdown because she couldn't, use someone else's toothbrush. And then I'm exhausted. I'm upset. I'm at the end of my rope. Then, like, I start to raise my voice. And that's where I find this guilt of just like, I don't know how to handle this situation perfectly.
Mm.
I don't know how to manage all of my emotions. I'm exhausted. How to be perfectly appropriate for every age and every situation. I haven't studied, child psychology. I'm not a teacher. So I think like there's just like, God, like,
In those moments, I'm always like, this is temporary.
yeah,
Just make it through this little
yes.
situation. And then,
And with her, what we've realized is like, honestly, she just needs a distraction. Like,
yeah,
me trying to
100%. It's
explain the whole
distracting at that
thing.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. Explain the whole thing. Again, she can't fully understand. So it's
Hmm.
just like, like rising above and being like, Lauren, this is ridiculous about a toothbrush. Like,
Hmm.
okay, like, let's do something funny and make her laugh, and then just kind of trying to completely change the scenario. But
Okay, my next question.
yes,
You have to be a contestant or like or a person on a reality TV show. Which show are you going on?
God, I probably would go on like the baking, like,
Oh,
like,
it's too easy. It's too easy.
I mean, I think I could be good at Survivor. Like, I think I could handle that.
That's like
Um,
my worst nightmare.
but it's kind of my worst nightmare
Okay, so like the
if I
like
had to. But
baking
some food, yeah,
competition.
like, I just think there's no one on those baking competitions that actually bakes naturally or like is known for gluten-free vegan or something. Like, everything's just the same ingredients, conventional ingredients all the time. So I do think it would be cool to be able to like
Showcase that.
showcase that and be like, actually, there are like other ways to bake and other ingredients.
Okay, you're a contestant on MasterChef. What are you making Gordon Ramsay?
I'm probably making him a new cookie recipe.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love this. I would make him something from my air fryer.
What would you make?
My specialty is
Yeah,
sweet
what's your
potato
specialty?
fries in the air fryer. My husband's like, I don't think they have air fryers on MasterChef. Like
No,
they will
they they
now.
they oh, they have like a kitchen, like with
Yeah.
every gadget. Hold on, but what do you put on these sweet potato fries to
So
make
I
them
cut them up
special?
into like the fry shape and I learned this from Caroline who's in studio right now. Anywho, she mixes them in coconut oil. Like you
Okay.
just take like a spoonful of
Yeah,
coconut
yeah,
oil, put
yeah.
salt and pepper, sweet potato fries. It's the best. And then you put them in the air fryer for like 25 minutes.
And do you have the fries touch each other, or they all have to be kind of
I
separated?
have this like special rack in the air fryer that has layers on it so you can layer them.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, they are kind of
And
touching.
that's all right.
But it's just the coconut oil on the
See?
sweet potato fries
Yes.
is
Incredible.
incredible.
Totally. I think coconut oil works so well. Again, like different healthier types of oils to cook with. I
Hmm.
mean, it doesn't always have to be like olive oil. Yeah, coconut oil works really well on like butternut squash too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. If you weren't doing Sweet Lorens, what would you be doing?
See, my two like big interests are business and health and wellness.
Hmm.
So it would be something else in that realm. I was a yoga instructor like at before I started Sweet Loren's, and then the early days of Sweet Loren's, I was still teaching yoga to like make money because Sweet Loren's wasn't making money at the time. Um so I could see like building a brand around like, I don't know, yoga studios, like saunas, nutrition. I don't know.
Do you do cold plunges?
I I don't have a cold plunge, but
Uh-huh.
I've done them, and, like, I do take, like, cold showers,
Okay.
but I love the hot, and then I love, you know,
I wanna be
I
a
know
person that has a cold plunge.
you can get, like, there's simple ones to get, you don't have to
Yeah.
get all fancy, or you just take a freezing shower for,
I've
like,
been
2
doing that
minutes.
lately. I
Okay,
love
good.
it so much.
Good.
Yeah.
It just, like, wakes you up.
Mhm.
Yeah, the endorphins and everything.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
You can spend 24 hours any way that you want. What are you doing in this 24 hours?
I Does that include, like, the airplane
You
ride?
can do anything.
I mean, it's
You could, like, teleport to where you wanna be.
I think I would just, like, teleport to, like, a safari and just be as
Hmm.
far away, or Japan. Like, there's so much of the world to see that is so adventurous and fun. Sorry. Um, yeah, I would teleport to, like, someplace magical and just have, like, such a fun adventure, and remember that, like, there's an amazing huge world out there beyond, like, what's inside my home.
That is so much better than what I would
What
say.
would you say?
I don't know, probably,
Like,
like,
go to a spa?
yeah, like a hotel and chill and watch
And just, like
Netflix. I'm a loser. Okay, so tell everybody, especially now that I know you're in Canada, tell everybody where they can find your product, about your website, and then you guys also have a really cute social media account.
Awesome. So you can find out everything about Sweet Loren's on our website. It's sweet, SweetLorens.com. And then follow us on social media at Sweet Loren's. And on our website, you can put in your zip code. And then, like, our store locator will show where near you we're sold. Again, we're sold in the refrigerated cookie dough section, not frozen. And
Where in the US? Is that, like, Whole
and
Foods
in the
and
US, yeah, we're in all Whole Foods, we're in Target, Kroger, Publix, Wegmans, Stop and Shop,
oh my god,
you
you're
know,
crushing
Ralph's.
it.
We're in almost all major supermarkets. And if our supermarket doesn't carry you, please request us at your supermarket, because that's really how they bring in products. So I can't wait for you guys to try it. We also ship from our website. So in case you don't live close to a store, or it's someone's birthday, or someone just gave birth, or whatever,
Mm.
it's an awesome present. You can order online at sweetlorens.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was
Thank you
lovely
so
to
much
meet
for having
you.
me.
I'm so happy.
I just think moms rule the world. They really do. And,
100%.
like, they just I also think that if you are a mom who wants to be an entrepreneur or start a business, I just feel like moms have that, like, that caretaking, I will win, I will protect instinct, and
Multitaskers.
multitask extreme. And when they love something, they just love it with their whole heart. And so, anyway, to any mom out there who wants to be in business or start something, I just think, if you love being a mom, then I think, you have what it takes to
Gi
protect and grow
give
something.
birth to a business.
Yeah, exactly. And then
It's an easier
help it grow.
recovery. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm on a roll.